either younger than us or, passed and retired. So why not? I want to challenge myself. The best always looking to fight the best and challenge themselves, and why not, challenge.
Terence Crawford can't beat him, right? This is a money grab for Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy.
But if you study Floyd closely, like I have, you will notice that he never wastes any steps while he's in the ring.
Terence Crawford just shook the boxing world, accepting Floyd Mayweather's fight offer live on air with Stephen A. Smith. Calm but confident, Crawford said boxing is about testing limits, no matter how big the challenge. He made it clear the best fight the best, and stepping in with Mayweather is his chance to prove it once again.
Businessman, because this is Terence the businessman talking, right? They got to pay the cheddar to make it better, right?
For sure. All money ain't good money, so you got to know that.
Okay, fair enough. I hate to use the word easy, but at times it did feel like you were, having a really easy time out there. Were you expecting it to play out that way?
Listen, it's never easy,
Stephen A. Smith has never held back in his takes, and he didn't hear either. He praised Crawford for conquering 4 different weight divisions, a feat few fighters ever touch. In today's boxing, where many avoid moving up because of the risk, Crawford's dominance across 4 weights makes him stand out. For Stephen A., that versatility proves Crawford is one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters of this era.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford.
Legendary Roy Jones Jr. knows what it takes to rule multiple divisions, and he's been quick to praise Crawford. Jones pointed to Crawford's fight with Canelo, where he used elements from Mayweather and Erislandy Lara, 2 men who gave Canelo trouble. But Crawford didn't just copy, he made those strategies his own, blending them into his rhythm. That adaptability, Jones says, is what separates him from fighters stuck in one style.
As Canelo Alvarez has been a great fighter his whole career, people like Erislandy Lara gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. People like Floyd Mayweather also gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. But Bud is more fierce, more fearsome and more angrier and more meaner than both of those guys. So if they showed you the blueprint, Bud gonna go out there and take that blueprint and do even more with it, which is what Bud did. So it was never a question in my mind whether Bud really was going to outbox me, just if he could take the punch. And right away he showed, bam, he could take the punch. So I knew from that point, if he just slow him down, which he did, he'd be okay. Then late in the fight, what other people still didn't see, late in the fight, Bud started hitting Canelo's body. One of those body shots, I think about the 7th or 8th round, hurt Canelo. I was like, whoa. Bud hit him in the right spot, and he got Canelo's respect with that too. So Bud fought a very, very awesome fight, fought a beautiful fight, very tactical.
Very controlled.
Yes, it was a beautiful fight for boxing.
It was a beautiful fight. Bud got hit with some shots.
He did.
He got hit with some single shots going out. He's going out and Canelo, if he has you trapped in the corner or along the ropes, it's typically 1 to 2 big shots. You know that if you've watched him.
Yep.
So you could tell Crawford, as he was going out, he knew the one shot was coming, and several times it landed. He even got hit with a 2-piece. I don't remember what round it was, an uppercut right hand that Crawford took well. So when you started seeing him absorb the shots, if you're Team Crawford, you don't want him to take that shot. But if you started seeing that, now you know that, okay. And I think that's what gave Crawford the green light to stay there a little bit longer.
He smiled about it.
Yeah. And sometimes that smile can be a lie, and sometimes that smile can mean what I think it meant for Crawford, which is, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was.
The idea of Crawford taking on Mayweather, even as an exhibition, has set off big debates. Critics argue it could hurt Crawford's legacy, making it look like a money grab instead of a legacy move. They point out Mayweather's recent run of exhibition bouts has been more about paychecks than history. Still, others believe Crawford's legacy is already secure, and fighting Floyd would simply add another unforgettable chapter.
For Terence Crawford, it's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy. This is what was being said, right? This is what people perceived. Terence Crawford was just attempting to cash.
When fans put Mayweather and Crawford side by side, things get complicated. Floyd has a long list of legendary names on his resume, but critics often point to timing. Canelo was still young when Floyd beat him, and Pacquiao was injured during their mega fight in 2015. Mayweather also avoided certain rematches, leaving fans with questions. Crawford, on the other hand, dominated opponents who were in their prime. That contrast keeps fueling endless debates about skill versus timing.
Floyd Mayweather is still greater than Terence Crawford. We need to really talk about this now. A lot of you guys are putting Crawford a bit too high. If you want to say Crawford could beat Floyd, I'm more open to that conversation, but when you're lining up the careers, I'm going to say Floyd every time. While they're both 5 division, Bud has become 3-time undisputed, but he's only fought 10 world champions to Floyd's 25 world champions. You can't take away the 5 division, 3-time undisputed. In terms of accolades, yeah, he probably gets the nod over Floyd. I say the accolades are about relative, considering Floyd Mayweather won Fighter of the Decade as well. But when you get to the resumes, Pacquiao, Oscar, Canelo, Cotto, Mosley, Castillo, Marquez, Zab, Gotti, Hatton, and Corley. It's probably way more people that this guy just didn't name. And then when you get to Bud's resume, not saying it's just bad, but only names that's really worth mentioning is going to be Spence and Canelo. It's not a knock on Bud. Bud was not able to make those fights early on in his career. But I got to tell you guys what it is. Bud's resume just doesn't line up with Floyd's. Take their top 20 wins. Bud don't even got 20 wins to really sit here and name. Floyd got a good 20-something plus. Bud probably got about 15, 10 wins that we could really sit here and name. Floyd's still greater than Bud in my opinion.
Boxing analyst Tony Jeff says Floyd's greatest weapon wasn't his defense or speed, it was his mindset. He believed he could beat anyone, and that confidence carried him through. Even in tough fights, Floyd's ability to read opponents and adapt in seconds made the difference. His calm under pressure, combined with technical brilliance, created an aura of invincibility. That's why he retired with his perfect record untouched.
Strong mindset, they're really confident, they really believe in themselves, but you need more than that mindset. You need to have the full package of everything that I'm talking about, what Floyd has got.
You fighters should only want to get better. The more you win, the more you should work hard. If you think about losing, you're going to lose. All I ever thought about was winning. So that's all I know.
Floyd would visualize his success before he even stepped into the ring. There was no alternative to him but winning. And this mindset isn't just for boxing, it's for all walks of life. And I've actually done a full video talking about how I used this mindset of visualization to win my Olympic medal. And it was an absolute game changer. Now, Floyd used to use this mindset to ease the pressure that he put himself under. And he made himself think like, I'm not under any pressure right now, where he was under immense pressure.
Pressure either makes you or break you. Well, you see where I'm at, so it's obvious that I'm the type of athlete or I'm the type of entertainer that can deal with pressure. There's never no pressure.
Now, if you watch his fight in 2013 when he fought Canelo Alvarez, Canelo came in a young, strong, undefeated fighter. But by round 2, Floyd kind of had him figured out. He was reading Canelo's jab. He would slip outside and then come back with a clean counter punch, then move his feet and get out of the way. He basically had the full fight under control, and he was controlling the full rhythm of the fight. He was forcing Canelo to fight at his pace. And this is what he would do in all of his fights. He would get his opponent to do what he wanted them to do without their opponent even realizing it, which is what we call boxing IQ. Now, even though I'm not a fan of Floyd Mayweather personally, because of the time when I did meet him, what he said to me made me just feel like this guy is a piece of...
The boxing world is always hungry for what's next. And lately, fans are buzzing about a Crawford versus David Benavidez showdown. Benavidez brings size, power, and non-stop aggression, a whole new kind of test. It's the type of matchup fans crave: high risk, high reward, skill versus size, precision versus pressure. Nothing is official yet, but the hype shows fans want legacy fights, not just exhibition paydays.
Not me, but shocked the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on and defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majimov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch armage. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7", with a 70-inch armage, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch armage. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy.
Comparing Floyd and Crawford is a never-ending debate. Both fought the best of their time. Both stayed dominant. Floyd's flawless defense and 50-0 record defined his era, while Crawford's ability to move up in weight and still dominate is just as impressive. Their careers came in different eras with different circumstances, making a clear answer impossible. But together, they set the gold standard for boxing greatness.
Oh my goodness, I said that was gonna happen. If Crawford was to win, we're gonna be seeing a lot of these debates on whether or not Floyd Mayweather or Terence Crawford is gonna be better. Now this is gonna be a debate for a long time. I'm talking about one of those debates like LeBron versus MJ, Messi versus Ronaldo. It's one of those. And the thing is, I can get behind it. Let me go ahead and say this. When it comes to resume, I do think we give Floyd Mayweather the edge. I mean, he beat a bunch of champions. He reigned for a long time. While Crawford, his resume is heavily criticized, and he's just not getting, his kind of respect for beating Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez. But if we're talking strictly off of skills, this is where things get really tough to talk about. I think a fair assessment of this matchup would be Floyd Mayweather wins from 135 and 140, while Crawford wins from 147 to 154. And I say that because I feel like Floyd's style changed once he got to welterweight. He became a more defensive fighter, and he just wasn't as much focused on offense. And knowing this, I feel like Crawford would have had a much better chance of handling him. And we all know, Crawford was an absolute monster at welterweight. But hey man, like I said, this is going to be a debate for a very long time. I can't wait to hear all the talk about it. I'm curious on your thoughts. Who do you think wins in the fight? Floyd or Terence Crawford? Let's talk about it and follow me for more.
Coach Greg Hackett summed it up perfectly after Crawford's win over Canelo. Canelo had been the sports predator for more than a decade, and Crawford dismantled him. That fight marked a shift. Crawford isn't just a champion, he's now the man at the top, the fighter everyone else fears. That victory didn't just add to his legacy, it changed the boxing landscape, crowning Crawford as the sport's new king.
Because you gotta remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, you know, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Right. Damn. Like, you know what I mean? Ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit gotta make sense. Like you said, you be the shark, I mean, you be the wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, yes, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's to me, it don't make sense, but that's what,
monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend.
Chill, man.
But, what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
saying? Get a line of suits, get your money, man. Go ahead and get the easy money, coach. You ain't gotta sweat no more.
What's up,
Not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat.
What's that?
He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's cause when a guy see himself up here and then is fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man,